Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us.
Hello and welcome to On Deck on Tuesday night, brought to you by Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. As usual, Dirk gets glitched off, after these ads, so I don't know what's going on, but hey, he'll be back. So next to me, my Twins battled his Rangers, and his Rangers looked a lot better than my Twins. Kristen Bacon, how you doing?
Doing good. I mean, I'm surprised we won those games, the situation we're in, but I mean, Ranger fans are probably hoping for a miracle at this point.
Yeah, I can tell you, I'm not surprised they won. I'm not happy the Rangers won, but Twins have just been inconsistent, and it's finally, I think, catching up to them. Even the bad teams are beating them. So I'm going to say Mr. Greg for last because I know he's got a few words to say and probably happy here. But Coach D, Mr. Met fan, how are you doing?
Okay, Mets have tied it up, and so I got it on behind me. I'll try not to be too distracted. So, yep, Chris and I have undergone, we're going through the wettest August on record in the DFW area, and it only took 3 days. We hadn't had rain at all since May.
Yep.
Okay. And Dirk froze, so they must not like his internet. Does not like talking about rain. So.
Oh wow!
Oh,
computer.
There we go. All right.
And so anyway, I on our little chat earlier, I succumbed to traffic. I got rear-ended, and I hit a car. My car's beat up a little bit. I think, Chris, you kind of were unscathed. A couple people died around here. I don't know why people try to drive. If I can't see the road on both sides and I know the road, unless I know the road, if I can't see the road on both sides, I'm not driving through it.
Yep. Nope. I totally agree. We get that here in Minnesota during the winter months. People are still doing the speed limit. It's just like, why? So
some prayers to everybody affected in DFW by this.
Yeah, definitely. So let's move down to Mr. Cardinal, Mr. G. I know you got some stuff to say. How about them Cardinals, huh?
Oh man, those Cardinals doing awesome, man. I know a few weeks ago I'd been talking about how nervous I was because it was basically kind of nip and tuck with the Brewers, and it didn't look like, it looked like if the Brewers got in, it didn't look like my Cards might have a chance at the wild card because the Phillies and were looking pretty good for that final spot in the wild card. So, but man, we're pulling away from the Brewers and we're playing excellent baseball. And not just that, but we got Albert Pujols hit his 693rd home run. So he's only 7 away from that historic 700 club.
Is that where he's at now? He's hit so many in the past few days. I can't keep up.
That was going to be my first question to everybody.
He's looking like a 28-year-old Albert Pujols right now. He's just smashing it.
Yeah, he's got, I believe, they're under 40 games or at 40 games left?
Yeah. So
38,
if they
40.
keep him in the lineup, he's got a good chance because he needs to hit about one every 5 games or so, or 6 games.
So over under, I mean, he needs 7 in 40-ish games. Dirk, does he get there?
I think he will. Albert Pujols, he's a professional hitter. The Cardinals are in first place. They got a 4-game lead. They've been hot. He's not going to do anything for his self records. He's not going to go up there and try to hit home runs, but he's a very large, very strong man, even though he's 40. Okay. He's still strong and he's still got a fairly quick bat. So that's working for him, and he's probably a little amped up being in a pennant race. Maybe that took 5 years off, what I mean? You got a little fresh life, a little, things like that. And of course, last month he did pitch, once, and since then he's been great. So I don't know.
Yeah. Crispy, how about you? Do you think Albert will get 7 for 700? You're on mute, bud.
I think so. You got plenty of time to do that. It just depends on how many times he's up to bat, but I think he could do it.
Yeah, I got it on there. Pujols for 700. I've been a big Pujols guy for years, even though he wasn't on the Twins or just seemed like a cool guy, laid back. For a right-hander, he probably has one of the best swings in baseball. I mean, we always talk about lefties and how they have a sweet swing. Pujols, the swing ain't bad. So I'm going for it. I'd put the mortgage on it that he gets 700 by the end of the year. Greg, I know
made a science of perfecting his swing.
Yep. So Greg, I'm pretty sure you're going to agree with us, but we'll let you hear it. Does he get 700?
The way that he's been hitting the ball, I wouldn't put it past him to get to 700. I don't know if he's going to get much more than that, but I can see him getting right to 700. I know that every time there's like a historic milestone, like when Pete Rose was on the verge of tying Ty Cobb for the most hits, and then he passed him, it was just kind of a waiting game, and then he went without a hit, and then it was like, is he going to get it? Is he going to get it? Will he get it in Cincinnati? So there's a lot of pressure on some of these guys that are kind of pursuing records and stuff. But I think that Albert Pujols, like Coach D said, he's not out for personal acclaim or anything. And I don't really see him as the type of guy to come back out of retirement just to hit a couple if he does fall short either. I definitely think that with the tear that he's on, and definitely if he can get a lot more at bats, especially against left-handed pitching, I think that he'll get to 700.
Yeah, like I said, I definitely do. So I actually saw somebody post this in a Facebook chat that I was in regarding Pujols. If he's sitting at 699 and you're facing him, and you're in a tight game, or even a blowout, I guess was the put. You just let him launch one off of you. So, Coach D, how about you? You're facing Pujols with the game out of there.
The famous grooving one.
Yeah.
This brings me back many years to 1972 when Joan Payson, the then owner of the Mets, made a trade to bring Willie Mays back home to New York, and as a Met, okay, and I always remember it. I watched that game. The crowd was thundering. It was so loud. When the announcer announced him at bat, you couldn't even hear the announcement. The crowd was so loud, and the pitcher, I don't know, it looked like he threw a good fastball. Willie Mays hit a home run, and there was a lot of talk that they just did it to groove one to him. But, maybe the pitch, if I was a pitcher, I would throw my best pitch, and hope he hit it. But I'm not going to groove one. I would throw my best pitch. And that's what that pitcher back then said. He said, I threw my best pitch. It wasn't grooved. He stuck by his story. And Willie Mays did have over 600 home runs, so he's gonna find one. And the same thing with Albert. I think it's got to be on your head. If you got to kind of put it out of your head, especially when if the Cardinals are playing the team also in the playoff hunt, they really don't want to give up a run,
Yeah.
But he's standing there 60 feet away. He's got a goatee and he looks like Albert Pujols, but you got to maintain your composure and, throw your best stuff. If he hits it, hats off to him. If you get him, hats off to you.
All right. Chris, how about you? What do you think? If you're the pitcher, Pujols is at 699. Do you let him tee off on you, or what do you think?
It depends on the situation with your team. Is it going to be the last game that you need to get into the playoffs? Are you already in the playoffs? I mean, it just depends on the situation, but I think if you have the playoffs locked up already, might as well.
Okay. Greg, I know you're a Cardinals fan, but what do you think? I mean, what would you do?
Well, I think from an ethics standpoint, it would be hard to just groove one because there's a lot at stake, outside of the game with people betting on games, with money lines and run differentials and stuff like that. So I think from an ethics standpoint, I don't know if I would groove one, but I think I'd be like Coach D, if my best pitch was a cutter or the curveball or, a split finger or whatever, I throw the best pitch I could, and I'd be okay with it if it ended up in Yellowstone Park, But I think that, I think that I would probably throw the best pitch I could and give them something to hit,
Yeah.
But that's what most pitchers try to do. I don't think that there's too many that would probably just throw balls in the dirt and try to do that. I think they'd go after him and at least give him something to look at. So
yeah, no, I've been thinking about that, and I mean, a lot of these pitchers now probably grew up watching Pujols idolize, so I mean, it would be hard for them to be like, oh my God, Pujols is here, 699. I can join the record books with them, and I even posted on the chat. I was like, you know what? If I'm the starting pitcher, 2 outs, I'd probably try to throw my best stuff, but I think I would, at least throw him one, decent pitch and let him if he wants to tee off on it, tee off on it. I know I get the ethics and, we talk about old school baseball rules, but, it's Albert Pujols, especially if I idolize him coming up, and I'm in my first couple of years in there, and there's Albert Pujols sitting there. It's going to be hard for me not to, want to join him in the record book to say that my favorite player homered off of me to get the record. So
I'd love to see him get it up. I'd love to see him get it off of the old 3-0 count. Some pitchers kind of working both sides of the plate, working a 3-0 count, and then they end up grooving the automatic strike, and he goes for it. Even though most pitchers take that.
That would be something because it's coming right down the middle. Of course, he's going to tee off on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you guys. I hear the ethics, but I think part of me would, maybe just because I like to see my name in lights. I don't know, but definitely I think it would be hard not to give them at least one softball size pitch to take out of the park. But so let's get to some scores here. Twins Rangers, a final. Oh, that was yesterday. I'm sorry. We're on Tuesday. Twins and Astros. Astros 1-0, bottom of 4. Rangers, Rockies 3-3, top of 3. Braves, Pirates 6-1. Braves, top of 9. That game's pretty much over. White Sox, Orioles. Still can't believe how well the Orioles are playing. 4-2, bottom of 6. Reds and Phillies, bottom of 7, 4-3 Phillies. Mets, Yankees tied up, bottom of 6. Dirk's got that game on, so we see some highlights. Dirk will definitely jump in. Angels, Rays, Rays 4-1, bottom of 7. Giants 3-1 over the Tigers, top of 8. Blue Jays, Red Sox 5-1. Blue Jays, top of 3. Cardinals in a second game of a doubleheader, 3-0 over the Cubs. Diamondbacks Royals top of 4, nothing, and the game one, Cubs took it 2-0 over the Cardinals. And then we still had the Guardians, Padres, Marlins, Athletics, Brewers, Dodgers, and National and the Mariners. So
Gator.
yeah, about to ready to tip off. So with the standings, nothing's really changed in the East. The Central, the Twins are now 2 back. White Sox are 3 back. Guardians, are leading. Houston, nothing's changed there. In the West, in the NL East, the Braves are getting closer there, Dirk. 3 games behind Mets.
Yeah, well, you know,
It's
it's gonna be a dogfight. I've
it's
been
gonna
saying
be.
that the Braves are the World Series champs. They had their hot streak. They seem to be
About this time last year, I think it was.
yeah,
so.
they seem to be staying a little hot. You know, the Mets have cooled off a little bit,
Yep.
but they're not losing series. You know,
And that's what you got to do. A lot of players have said that. You
just
got to win
the
series.
You know, they're taking 2 out of 3,
Yep.
or they're splitting 2 and 2. You know,
Yep.
and stuff. You know, and
Exactly.
you just got to keep it. This is their quote maybe a little
Yep.
slump, which all teams go through, and then you go on that 2-week period where you win 9 of 11.
Yep.
You know, and then you get back on track. You know, the good
Yep.
teams do that. That's my belief. They play good for a few weeks, play well over 500, and then they play about 500
Yeah.
for a couple of weeks. You know, they don't go under, you know, and then they keep playing. That's cause they're good, you know.
Oh, exactly. So the Cardinals up 4.5 on the Brewers, and then the West Dodgers commanding lead. That's not changed. Playoff picture for the wild card. Tampa, Toronto, Seattle's in. Baltimore is 2.5 out. Twins 3. White Sox 4. In the NL, Braves are up 8.5. Philly and the Padres are battling, tied right now. Brewers are a game and a half back, and San Fran's 6.5 back. So that's your playoff roundup. I mean, personally, the way teams are playing right now, I mean, outside of the Yankees kind of struggling right now, I think that's probably your playoff matchups. Greg, what do you think? You think anybody's going to sneak in, or?
I don't know if anybody's really going to sneak in. You know, I wouldn't put anything past the Orioles to maybe try to squeak in. They're playing so far above their heads, so far ahead of what their expectations were, because they were on a total rebuild, and they even got rid of Trey Mancini, who was one of their better hitters. So, but it just seems like when they're expected to lose, they win. When they're expected to win, they lose. So they're just one of those unpredictable teams. But I definitely think that the closing is starting to kind of close on Milwaukee. I think they're running out of gas. You know, they're down to maybe a couple decent pitching performances every now and then from Burns and Woodruff. They got rid of Hader. They don't have much firepower. My Cardinals are starting to pull away. And I think one of the biggest catalysts for my Cardinals is not just the resurgence of Albert Pujols, but picking up Jordan Montgomery, the pitcher from the Yankees.
Yeah.
At the trade deadline. I mean, that was a tremendous pickup. I mean, he's pitching almost shutout ball every time he goes out there. And I think he's out there to prove a point, you know, that he was worth something. And the Yankees just kind of gave him away, really.
By the way, Albert's not in the lineup tonight.
Nope. He was in the first game, 0 for 4, I think. But,
Okay, yeah. So.
And we got Freddie Cruz Jr. chiming in, and of course he's going, let's go Yankees. So
I think that when it's all said and done, the way that the Yankees have been playing, I wouldn't put it past the Rays. I still think the Yankees are going to hold on to that division, but it wouldn't put past me that if the Rays or somebody, maybe even the Jays are within like 5 or 6 games, you know, when it's all said and done, because they've just been on a tremendous slide, you know. the All-Star or since the trade deadline. So
I would honestly say that we always hear about don't want to face this team in the playoffs if they get there. Dirk kind of nailed it. If Baltimore can get on a roll and get in, that might be a team nobody wants to face. So
Yeah.
So Chris,
they don't know how good they are.
Yeah. So Chris, do you think these teams are going to stay in the playoffs? Do you got a sleeper, or what do you think?
I think Baltimore could be a sleeper.
Okay.
I mean,
I can see
from
that.
being horrible last year to being really good this year.
Okay. We got Adam chiming in here. I think the Astros represent the AL again in the World Series. Oh, man, that might be. I mean, they're leading the pack right now. They're the number one seed, but I still can't count the Yankees out until they're out of the playoffs. I'm sorry. Don't like them, but I still can't count them out.
It's like the Fountain of Youth this year, man. It's like Justin Verlander coming off of surgery. He's pitching like he's about 27 years old again.
Nope.
He hasn't missed a step after missing a full season last year. Albert Pujols is smashing the ball. Wainwright still got a little gas in the tank. So some of these veterans, man, are still showing that they got a little bit left in the tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, Verlander's got the Cy Young Award
Right.
I think.
So look out for the Cardinals. They're starting to look scary. Yeah, Cardinals, Frankie, you're right. We were just talking about that. Frankie, while you're on, talk about the Cardinals. Asked the people earlier, a group here earlier. Frankie, I want your comment. Do you think Pujols gets 700 by the end of the year? So, viewers, if you're listening, does Pujols get 700? He's got about 38 to 40 games left. Dirk, do you got a sleeper?
Do
we think the playoffs are set?
Yeah, I think the Orioles are going to make some noise. The Brewers, they should get the wild card in the National League. And I was thinking, and it almost gags me to say it, that the Phillies were going to squeak into it, and they still can because it's them, Brewers, and the Padres. And I want to talk about them in a second, but the biggest sleeper to me would be the Orioles. I think they can catch Tampa Bay. There's nothing like confidence in a young team, and they're just playing good. They got rid of Mancini. They probably, I don't know the details of the trade, but I'll bet they got a couple of prospects, good. And don't forget, the Orioles almost did what the Astros did. They were just down to nothing. They were horrible. So they've got a lot of high draft picks that have played in the minors 2 and 3 and 4 years now. And these guys are starting to come up, and they're all coming up. They're young and fresh, and they play, And Frankie, you're right. That guy Cease on the White Sox. But, it looks better when you're on a first place team.
Exactly. So
there's a
lot. We got a question from Adam here. Don't forget Chase. So talk about the Cy Young. Don't forget Chase from the White Sox for Cy Young. Just looking up his stats right now. Chase, 24 starts, 11 quality, 2.9 ERA, 12-5 in about 135 innings. Definitely puts up Cy Young numbers, but Verlander, 22 starts, 18 quality, 1.95 ERA, 15-3. So I think that might come down to
has a chance to win 20, which is going to be rare nowadays.
Yep. Yeah, Verlander definitely. So since we're on the Cy Young talk, Dirk, in the AL, is it down to those two, or are you going to throw out a third name in the AL here?
I think Cease, every time I look at Verlander, though, he's just so freaking dominant now. He had last year off because of surgery, and it's like he's 28 years old again, and that's an attestament to how well these guys take care of themselves. You see a lot of athletes in all the sports playing into their 40s now. It used to be rare, but you know, Scherzer on the Mets, he's 38. He's having a great year. And you already mentioned Wainwright, he's 40 plus years old, Adam Wainwright is a pitcher. He knows how to pitch. He has, great command. He's more of the old school mold, maybe Greg Maddux. He, doesn't throw hard, but he knows how to pitch. Keeps the batter off balance. He keeps going. This is his last year. Then the next year, he's like, well, he's really good again. And I remember when he was playing the Mets in the playoffs back when Endy Chavez made the home run saving catch, and he was like a young guy, and they were like, oh, his curveball's amazing. He's really good. And he was coming out of the pen. And what was that, Greg? That was like 2004, wasn't it? Right in there?
Yeah.
But they were saying he was going to be good.
So, Greg, do you have a third name possibly, or your Cy Young candidates right now?
For the American League?
Yeah, for the American League.
When the season first started, I thought that Robbie Ray was going to be in the mix, but the Mariners haven't really played that well when he's taken the mound. I think he's only like 9-8 or something like that, but he's pitched some pretty decent games, and he's had some bad, no decisions, and then they've blown a few games, while he was in there. But I think that this is Justin Verlander's to lose. I mean, he's got a sub-2 ERA. Yep. He's got 15 wins already. He's probably going to get his 16th tonight unless something big happens. Dylan Cease has pitched pretty well, but I don't think that he had a very good performance today. But yeah, he's been pretty lights out at times. But I don't really have a third in mind, because to me, I think that Verlander is just standing out in a league of his own right now.
Chris, how about you? Do you got a name possibly, or Verlander the guy for the Cy Young?
I probably think Verlander.
Yeah. And I get it. And we got Adam chiming in. He said Verlander's caught the fountain of youth. Yeah, Greg mentioned that. A lot of other guys have found that fountain. I wish I could find it. And Frankie, throwing out the cheating again. I mean, who knows? I mean,
maybe not.
Yeah, maybe.
He ain't get off it.
Yeah. So let's move over to the NL quick for Cy Young, since we're talking pitching.
Excuse me.
Golson for the Dodgers, 15-1, 2.12 ERA in 22 starts. You got Wright from Atlanta, 15-5, 16 quality starts in 23 games started. Carrasco from the Mets, 13-5, 3.92. Anderson from the Dodgers again, 13-2. So, Greg, I mean, in the NL, who do you think is up there? Who do you got?
Well, I'm still a firm believer. I don't know if Coach D quite believes what I'm going to say, but I think that right now the Mets have the best starting rotation in the National League. I really like what Carrasco brings to the table. I definitely think that DeGrom would be in the mix if he wouldn't have missed so much of the season. Because he's just, he's lights out when he gets in there. I mean, he's throwing up over 100 on a lot of pitches. But I don't know. I like what Carrasco brings. I think that the guy Gonsolin for the Dodgers is pretty good too. But he's playing on such a loaded team. It's hard to tell if he's really good or if he's just getting a lot of run support. Because when you're looking at players in the past, like Nolan Ryan, he pitched really good, but he lost a lot of games because he played on some really bad teams. In a lot of games that Gonsolin's played in, he's gotten plenty of run support as well. But he definitely has some good stuff. But I don't know. I'd like to see it go to someone else other than a Dodgers pitcher or something. So
Chris,
I'd
how
like
about you?
Carrasco.
Oh, go ahead. Gert. Finish up.
I said I'd like to see Carrasco or somebody, you know, kind of a low budget kind of guy instead of someone from a super team.
All right,
Yeah.
Chris, how about you? Who do you got?
I mean, it could be anyone. I'm not quite sure. I mean,
Yeah. When it comes to pitching, I mean, unless somebody stands out, you're right, Chris. It could be anybody.
yeah.
Dirk, how about you?
You know, in the National League, you got Gonsolin on the Dodgers, Tyler Anderson, Urias,
Yep.
Sandy Alcantara on Miami. He's still pitching good. Kyle Wright on the Braves. He is like 15 and what was his record here? Come on.
15 and 5.
5. So he may be get to 20. And Gonsolin is actually 15 and 1.
Yep.
Okay. Another guy that he's in the top is Sugar, Edwin Diaz. Freaking lights out. He blew a save the other night, the first time in like 2 months, but he's got a 1.4 ERA, twice as many strikeouts as innings pitched, and he is pitching. His slider is almost Mariano Rivera-ish. It's just they can't hit it. When he comes in and he's on fire, it's something else to watch. I think Carrasco's in there, but he's hurt now, so he's missing some time, a couple of weeks, so that probably throws him out. Another guy on Atlanta, Max Fried's having a great year. The Mets, Scherzer, he's on the outside of it. He didn't pitch real good yesterday. He was a little bit off for some reason.
Yeah.
The Mets have the day off tomorrow. I think the team really needs it. They played 2 tough series, and Saturday and Sunday they played 3 games in 30 hours. So I think they're a little tired. They're home in New York, but a day off.
Little bit.
In. But
tired.
Cy Young, it's there's a lot of guys in the National League. To me, in the American League, it's Verlander's to lose. There's some guys having good years, but it's really Shane McClanahan on Tampa Bay. Also, you got Dylan Cease on the White Sox, and Framber Valdez on Houston is also having a real good year. So, but it's Verlander's to use. He's just the ERA, the strikeouts, the whip, everything. He's got to lead. I think it's closer in the National League. The Dodgers are stacked with pitchers, even though they lost what they call their best pitcher, Bueller's day off. Now he's got the rest of the season off. So and he's a great pitcher. If you guys ever watch him pitch, and it gets talked about sometimes, look at how freaking tight his pants are. If announcers mention it kind of often, and it even has kind of gone TikTok, it's just, I don't know, the skinny jeans thing, it's worse than that. But a lot of young new guys that have only been in the league a couple of years, trying to get familiarized with their names, because they're going to become regular household names like Scherzer and Verlander type guys, and you got these young studs coming up, and man, they all throw 97, 98 now. That used to be rare, now every team has 7 guys that can do that, and they all do it. So that's the thing. And until somebody brings back Greg Maddux, I think that's what we're going to see for probably the next 10 years. Baseball is always evolving, hitters will catch up, and then the pitchers will change and everything. So, and especially now with the 6 inning, game, for the pitchers, basically that's their goal. It's not 9 innings. I'd love to see a guy come out and throw even 15,
Well, did I hear somebody threw a under
Yeah, the
100
other
pitch
day.
game yesterday for a complete game?
Yep, and it was a big deal because it doesn't
It doesn't
happen
happen.
anymore. Yeah, he threw like 99 pitches too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't
for me,
remember.
I'm with Greg. I think Wright, Casaro from the Mets. I'll even throw in the Mets closer there, Jensen. 29 saves, five
Yeah.
wins, 0 losses.
Atlanta's closer.
Yeah, Atlanta's closer. Yep.
Yeah, he's
But-
kind of made a comeback of himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hader and Rogers both falling off the face of the earth. They can't get nobody out. So, quick MVP. I'm sticking with Judd. I'm sticking with. I'm gonna go Goldie over in the NL. So, Greg, how about you? Who's your top two? One from each side, or do you got it closer?
Well, I think from the National League, and this may be a homer pick, but I got to go with Paul Goldschmidt.
Yep.
He's playing, excellent ball. He's a good doubles hitter. He's definitely got a lot of power. Definitely one of our best pickups that we've had in the last few years. I mean, we've got the corners nailed down with Arenado and Goldie.
Gold Glove.
So, yeah. So I think that the way that he his defense is solid. He hits for power. He has pretty good average. He doesn't strike out a ton. I just think that Goldschmidt's putting up just one of those stellar years.
Mhm.
I was all on board for Judge, and then he just kind of went on a major slide for a while. But he did hit his 47th bomb of the year, and not to take
48
anything
tonight.
away from him, because that's a lot of home runs.
Yeah.
It looked like he was on pace to maybe tie Maris at one point with 61. I don't think he's going to really get too close to that. I think he'll probably end up more in maybe the low 50s to mid 50s now. But I still think that based off of his power numbers alone, though, with the 47 home runs, I still think that he's probably your lead candidate for MVP. But, I wouldn't mind seeing like a Verlander getting MVP and comeback player of the year and the Cy Young. I mean, coming off of surgery.
The triple play.
Yeah,
That's a good pick.
I think that he's, it's not like he's carrying the team because the Astros are a really good team, regardless. I mean, they made it to the World Series last year, and he didn't even pitch all last season. But as well as he's pitching with the under 2 and all his strikeouts and everything, he's definitely brought a lot of life, to that team. So I don't know. I think that maybe from a pitching standpoint, he could be an MVP candidate. But I think right now it's Judge's to lose.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, how about you? Got any takes on the MVP in both leagues?
I'm gonna go with Judge and Goldschmidt. I mean, you could put Verlander in there, but I feel like it's the other two probably leading the race.
Before Harper got hurt, I thought that he had a pretty good beat on.
Yeah.
You
can't count Harper out. So,
Yeah.
Coach D, who do you got?
It's Judges to lose. I think really in both leagues, it's Judges to lose, it's Goldies to lose.
Yeah.
Goldie is such a complete hitter. He's steady. He doesn't go in long slumps. He plays Gold Glove defense. I think he's won a couple, and that's part of being an MVP. Pete has been in a little bit of a slump the last 2 weeks, but he still leads the majors in RBIs, and he's still hitting 270, so he'll get it back on track. He'll probably end up with 40 to 45 home runs and 120, 130 RBIs, which is really good, but I think Goldie, because he's hitting 300, he's going to have 30 plus home runs, 100 over RBIs, Cardinals will be in first. Mets will be in first too. But he's just a solid notch better player just because he hits for a higher average. And he's a Gold Glove defender. Pete's a pretty good defender, but he's not Gold Glove yet. He gets better every year at it.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw the jinx out just because I can. We're gonna talk about the no-hitter going on in Houston. So speaking of Verlander, he's got a no going on. One error, it's cost them from the perfect game so far. So we got a no going on. Houston 2-0 over the Twins. So hopefully we can jinx that and break that. So Dirk, you brought up the Padres. What's on your mind?
Yeah, it's man, they made that trade. They got Juan Soto and they got all these and Josh Bell.
Yep.
One of them makes your team better, and they just I don't know they. The Padres are a funny team. It's almost like, and sometimes this happens. You get too many stars on a team, and the guys that are hungry relax a little bit because, man, we're so good. We're going to cruise. It's not at a front of their head conscious thought. It's probably way back. But the Padres, they just keep shooting themselves in the foot. They're 10, they're 11, 17 and a half games behind the Dodgers. They shouldn't be there. They got good pitching. They got Darvish and Musgrove. They got a good team, but maybe it's too many all-stars. That doesn't happen,
No, and then they went out and traded for Hader, the best closer in the league, and he can't seem to close anything.
Hader, they kind of switched the same guy, but they gave the Brewers the younger guy.
Yep.
Hader's like 31, 32, and they gave him a 28-year-old, and their records are eerily similar. So, and I would think, that maybe moving a team, both teams in contention, maybe fire them guys up, but I don't think either one of them has really endeared themselves to their new team yet. The Padres, they're the Padres. They've got the history of being a last place sub 500 team. Now they've got some legitimate stars starting a couple of years ago with Tata, and of course he's out the rest of the year. That it was a dumb spray cream thing. We discussed that. Why don't you just tell your team doctor what you need and he gives you the approved item? Don't go get it yourself. And, don't go thinking that off for bug spray doesn't contain anything, But yeah, I'm a little perplexed about them. They may have trouble. They should get the wild card pretty easy, but they may lose out on that because you got the Brewers, you got the Braves, you got the Phillies. The Phillies are slightly better than the Padres. It's just percentage points.
Yeah.
So Braves, Phillies, Brewers, Padres are all within a game or two each other. Who knows? But I think if the Padres get in the playoffs, they're, one and done.
Okay.
They don't have. It's like they don't have a spark or something invigorating them. Manny Machado was in the MVP talk for a long time. He's probably still on the edge, but I think that's back when he was hitting 350. I don't think he's even hitting 300 now, so they got something going on weird with them. I don't know what it is.
Machado somehow kind of drifts off towards the end of the season too. I don't know. He did kind of the same thing with the Dodgers. Come playoff time, he just didn't show up.
Yep.
Maybe he's like George Steinbrenner used to call Dave Winfield. I'm gonna say, Greg, call him Mr. May instead of Mr. October.
Yeah, put up all your stats early in the season.
Yeah. Hey, in my opinion on that, it doesn't matter when you get them. If you're red hot the first half of the year and you help your team win 8 or 10 games and you're kind of cool off the end, well, it doesn't matter. You help them win 8 or 10 games. It just doesn't look good at the end. But take away the
No.
first 2 or 3 months of the season, and you take away them 8 or 10 games, and then where is your team?
Yeah.
All right. So, Greg, what do you think about the Padres since the All-Star break? Since Dirk's brought it up, and we didn't get your opinion last week. So, what's your thoughts on Tatis? So, go ahead.
Well, I think that Coach D is right. I think that when it comes to the playoffs, because right now they're kind of on the cusp for like the final wild card spot right now. And I think they might squeak in and get in, but I think that if it comes down to facing a pitching staff like the Mets with Carrasco and Scherzer and DeGrom and stuff, I think that they're pretty much cooked. I don't think that they can keep up from a pitching standpoint, especially with like the Braves or the Mets, and I don't think that they can keep up with a loaded lineup like the Dodgers. So I don't think that they really have too much of a puncher's chance to go too far in the playoffs if they do squeak in there. Right now, the Phillies and the Padres are kind of battling it out for the last couple spots, on the wild card. And then, of course, you got the Brewers kind of slipping back a little bit, but they're still within striking distance of making a run for that final spot as well. But it's just one of those weird things. They gave up pretty much the world to get Juan Soto. They had a potential dream lineup with Tatis, Machado, and Soto in there as your 2-3-4 or 3-4-5, or however you want to put them in the lineup. But I don't know. It's kind of weird what they did. I mean, they picked up some good guys. But I think they picked up a few guys off of hype, too, because Drury, I thought that he was playing well for Cincinnati. But, who knows if he's going to be a mainstay or if he's just having one of those kind of really good seasons. Because we've seen some drop-offs in other teams, too. I mean, look how good the Giants were last year, and look at where they're at this year. I mean, they had, like, one of the best records in baseball last season, and now they're just kind of in the middle of their division, and I don't think they're anywhere close to even sniffing out a wild card this year. So, and I don't know if it was because they played way above their heads last year or what, but there's a definite drop off. And I think that the Padres, even though they got an all-star pitcher and Hader, and then they got Soto in the lineup, they just seem to be a team that is a little bit out of sync as far as playing together. And, usually in a sport like basketball, you see more out of sync, because it's a completely different game and 5 players on each side and players have to definitely be in sync. But the Padres just seem to be a team that's just kind of out of sorts. I think that they got enough talent to maybe make it to the playoffs, but I don't think they have enough talent to really win a playoff series, like Coach D said. And as far as the Fernando Tatis thing, I think that the Major League Baseball probably should have done a little bit more investigating, because if it was some kind of cream that you get at a pet store or some kind of thing that, was found in like medicine for animals or something like that, or some kind of vague substance, I think that they could maybe lessen the punishment a little bit. But what a blow, he was almost back. He was tearing it up in AAA on assignment and everything. And then here he was, hit with an 80-game suspension. So he's not only going to miss the rest of this season, but he's going to miss a pretty good chunk of the start of the season next year. So it definitely hurts a team that's pretty much trying to go all in, to put together a championship team. So I'm hoping that Tatis can learn from this and the organization can learn from this. And get him kind of on the straight and narrow on how to take better care of himself and be a little bit more responsible. But as far as the Padres are concerned, I just don't see them really going too far.
All right, Chris, what do you think about the Padres?
It's going to be an up and down situation. I hope they make the playoffs, but with their recent history, I guess. I'm not quite sure, but we'll see.
Yeah.
They're the LA Clippers of baseball. I'll just say that.
Yeah, no doubt. They definitely, for our guy Callan, big Padre fan, I really hope they make the playoffs and kind of prove us wrong. But, I kind of, with you guys, I think if they make it, they're one out. Wouldn't shock me if they missed it. So, Dirk sent us, I think it was Dirk, sent us on this date. No, it was Chris. I'm
That's
sorry.
me. Yeah.
So on this date
Does-
back in 2007, the Mighty Rangers set a record first team in 110 years to score 30 runs in a game, 30-3 win over the Baltimore Orioles in 2007. So I kind of brought that game up just to kind of look at the stats, and it was a 3-0 game after 3, and Texas scored 30 straight runs right after that. 4 in the 5th, 6 in the 9th, or 6. I'm sorry, 9 in the 6th, 10 in the 8th, and then 6 more in the 9th. So at least the Rangers got something going for them back in the day.
But no playoff, no World Series. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. And I
all
was
that
just
for
looking.
nothing.
Yeah, and I was looking at the pitching stats for the Orioles. The starter, he went 5 innings, gave up 6 runs. And then the bullpen came in, and first pitcher went 2 1/3, gave up 8 runs on 8 hits. And then the second reliever comes in, inning and a third, gives up 7 runs. And Shuey closes it out with 2 innings and gives up 9 runs on 7 hits. So we know what kind of day the Baltimore Orioles had that day. Well, could have been the Baltimore Ravens, who knows? But then I had a question here sent by our very own J-Mac. I got to pull it up here. On this date, back in, shoot, I just had it up here. Okay, hold on. Nolan Ryan struck out his 5,000th player on this date in '89, I believe it was. Ricky Henderson. Can you guys name me another pitcher that has 5,000 plus strikeouts?
There ain't none.
Dirk, you are exactly right. I thought maybe we'd throw you off, but you are right. There is not one.
There's only a couple that got barely 4,000.
Yep, I was just there. Let me see here.
Yeah, I think it was Clemens and Steve Carlton maybe that hit around 4,000 something.
Yeah, I had that up, but so we got Randy Johnson was 125 away from 5,000. He had 4,875. Clemens had 4,672. Carlson had 41.36. After that, then it drops off to Blyleven at 37. Currently
I
active.
lived like 30 years to get there. He played over 20 years, I believe.
Yeah, 22 years they're
Yep.
saying. So right now they're
Dirk
currently
owned by 11.
yeah. So right now, currently we have Scherzer 13th all time at 31.57. Verlander at currently ranked 15th at 31.51. Cranky at 20th with 28.73, and then Kershaw 26 with 2,758. And that is like the last until Adam Wainwright at 71. So,
Yeah.
do we see any of those guys reaching 5,000?
Oh, no.
All
No.
right, Dirk
Not
said
even
no.
4,000.
No.
Pitchers just don't pitch enough innings nowadays.
That's exactly right.
You're not going to see any more 300 strikeouts.
Yep.
Unless something changes. And who knows? In 20 years, maybe the game turns around or something. But Nolan's record, it's like Cy Young's wins, 511 wins. Nobody's going to get that, and I don't know. I don't think there's anybody when they only pitch 220 innings and they're called a bulldog and an innings eater. It's virtually impossible to get 3,000 strikeout or 300 strikeouts in a year. 250. Usually you look at the league leaders the last few years, they're 250, 240, and they pitch 230 innings to get there, but that's it. It's because there's no more complete games. There's, it's 6 innings for pitchers, not 9. If pitchers went, 7 and 8 innings, you might be somebody that would get 300 strikeouts, but right now it's not going to happen. Plus now they got 5-man rotations, and some teams toy with 6-man. Back in the day, Nolan Ryan, Tom Seaver, Steve Carlton, them guys, 4-man rotations. Every 4th day, you're up. Them guys pitched 300 innings a year, 280 innings,
We brought it up last week. What, Nolan Ryan pitched 200 pitches in one game?
Something like that. We brought up last week. He threw it an 11-inning game or something like that, and he pitched 4 days later.
He still lost.
Yeah.
So
that's before analytics and all this stuff.
That's one thing. Analytics is good, but I just think right now, it's got to go bye-bye. So I'm just looking at Scherzer's stats here because he's currently averaging 214 strikeouts over the years, according to reference.com. So if we take 214 times it by 22, I mean, he's got about 6 years left, really. Let's see here. Yeah, he's going to fall short by almost 300. So, he would have to pitch at least another
44.
yeah. So, I don't think we're going to see that. I mean, it was a cool stat. Thank you, J-Mac, if you're watching, for sending that out to us. So let's look at got a few minutes left here. Let me get back to the screen here. See if my jinx ended. Dirk, how's that Mets-Yankee game going? Wow,
the Yankees got a couple on the Mets. It's top of the 8th, 4-2 Yankees.
Okay.
I did see the Mets made a little 1969 type error, or 1962 Mets type error that probably led to a couple of runs scored. 3 guys converging on the ball in the outfield, and it gets dropped, of course. And so. Win, lose, I hope they win. They can come back. They've come back a ton of times this year. I would hate to, say that the Yankees beat them 2 straight and then the Yankees get their ship righted. I'd like them to lose. And then Mets go into tomorrow with a nice smile on their face. They play LA, and then next week the Mets actually have, after they get through LA, they've actually, the rest of the season, have kind of an easier schedule than a lot of the teams, because they played all the hard teams early on. When the Braves were red hot, they weren't playing teams that were at 500. Yes, the Braves were good and they beat the teams they should have beaten, everything, but they weren't playing the Mets, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Brewers. They weren't playing all the good teams. They were playing the low teams, and that's just the way the schedule comes out, Now the Braves got to play a little harder schedule, and the Mets got a little softer schedule. But
and that's the way baseball is.
Sit back in their laurels, because when you play games that a good team, when you play teams you should beat, that's when you make your hay. You take advantage of that, and you just put everything else aside. Don't let the bad teams beat you. Take the series. That's the first thing. Then you get a couple of 5-6 game winning streaks. and go 5-1, 6-1, then lose another one, but just keep playing high quality baseball. It's a long season. Everybody's tired now. So, and there ain't a player out there that doesn't have bumps and bruises. They're all sore, and
Okay.
it's like they usually say, the best day they feel is the first day of spring training.
Yeah.
Your
Exactly.
body downhill from there.
Yeah. So Twins are still getting no hit. I want to keep talking about that. So it breaks.
Yeah.
Outside of that, no games have really changed. Rays are really taking it to the Angels 11-1. Cardinals in the second game of the doubleheader up 7-0. And then of course the Yankees up 4-2. It looks like Tatis has apologized, but he'll have shoulder surgery. So Bryce Harper started a rehab stint today, had a home run. Bueller is going to have his second Tommy John surgery, so he's done. And then Mr. Glass here in Minnesota, Byron Buxton lands on the DL. Hip strain. I don't know what's going to happen. To this point, first floating around, I stay, just let him DH right now, I guess. But and then Kopech from the White Sox, right-handed pitcher, he's on the IR for knee strain. So before we get into our final thoughts, I put it in the chat. Next week we're going to go a little bananas, for our viewers.
Looking forward for that.
Yeah, we got an interview with the Savannah Bananas broadcast entertainment guy, Becca. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. Bika is his first name, and if he's watching this now, because I invited him to come watch. I'm sorry, did not mean to butcher your name, but I definitely can't wait to watch him. I've been watching these highlights of this team, and yeah, they might be Harlem Globetrotters, but they're playing real baseball. So
yeah,
please definitely check us out next week there. So let's go around the room, Greg. I know you're a teacher getting school started. My kid goes to school tomorrow. So final thoughts, Greg.
Well, I got 2 more days of summer school left, and then it's time to start getting ready for regular school. So as Phil Collins
So they got
said,
like a week or two off, and then they're
more
right back to school again.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's brutal.
So I think
Do
they
your
go
homework,
back to
kids.
school the day after Labor Day, around
Yeah.
the 5th or 4th or 5th or something like that, or the 6th. And so so have about a week and a half, 2 weeks off. And so that's wrapping up. So the kids have had a pretty good summer school, and they've had a lot of fun and been learning a lot. Been painting a mural that looks really nice. So that's been fun. I won my first sports bet finally yesterday. I bet on the Braves. It wasn't a high ticket or anything. But
you're not retiring yet.
I'm not retiring from sports betting, but no more parlays for me. Meatloaf said one time, the great singer, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but when it comes to parlays, that doesn't cut it. So
those parlays, those dollars, those big dollar amounts. It's like, oh my god, I could bet 5, I could win $5,000. I mean, get you, but you got to hit everything. And
but then when you're relying on the Diamondbacks to finish out a game, and then they give up a 3-run triple or something, it's just too much to really, one game at a time, guys.
Yep, exactly. Coach D, final thoughts there, bud.
Well, you guys, your kids, just going back to school down here in Texas, they're getting ready for their winter prom right now, because they've been to school a while.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like August 5th.
Yeah.
Well, Abbott's not messing around, huh?
No, they always do that. August 5th, and all the school districts aren't exactly the same, but they're like in a 2-week group. But August, like the first week in August with school district, that's the earliest I can remember. When my boys went to school, it was usually around August 15th, 17th, but then they moved it up a week. Now they get off of school right after Labor Day.
Yeah.
You know, there's no school on June 10th or 12th or 14th, so they get a little off, but they go back to school in the dead heat of summer.
Yeah.
Even though it's cooled off now with the floodwaters and Noah's Ark floating by.
But no, that you know,
But
we typically start the day after Labor Day too. But the high school, the district here, we have they got a project going on, so they want to give at the high school, so they want to give the district time to get that done. So
yeah, that's how I grew up.
yeah,
Second week of June till after Labor Day.
yep, exactly.
That was summer, you know.
Yep, exactly.
And you know, so anyway, well, you know, Mets and Yankees, the Vogelback just grounded into a double play. Oh crap.
All right.
And so Mets were hot. Last week was really tough. Tomorrow they get a day off. Hopefully get their feet under them, and then they start playing better again. Like I said, we're coming down to the nitty gritty now. We got like 6 or 7 weeks left. You know, the first week of October is still regular season. And we got a couple of pennant races that are going to be good. Not in the West, the American or National, but the Central and the NL East. You know, there is going to be in both leagues hunt for the wild cards because there's the extra team this year. So that's going to be, you know, it should be really exciting baseball going down this stretch, you know. I can't believe we're already this far into the season. I feel like it just started, right? And you know, we're going to be, you know, in a few weeks, we're going to be watching the World Series at the end of October, you know, and then it's gone, you know, and I'm like, you know, and so it goes by quick, even though, you know, they always say it's a long season, but it does go by quick, you know, so I'm just enjoying it. And hopefully everybody in the DFW area is safe and sound and not flooded out. I think we're kind of done with the rain. So everybody out there, tune in next week, man. The Savannah Bananas. I've watched some of their parts of some of their games. It's really fun.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's great. They're an independent league team, so they're not affiliated with a team, but they still are professional ball players. And some of these guys may come up and get on a major league team. Last week, it was on TikTok or something. They called down from the stands 75-year-old Bill the Spaceman Lee to pitch. He walks out there with a beer in his hand, and he pitched pretty darn good. You know, he threw it. He had good motion, and so I think he messed up a curveball. It slipped out of his hand, but the guy swung at it and struck out. You know, but you know, 75. You know, I'd be afraid one of these 22-year-olds would rifle one back right at my head. You know. But he went out, and they do things like that. It's things like if a fan catches a foul ball, it's an out. Yeah, I love that. You know,
I can't wait to talk to them and find out how they came up with this and concept and stuff like that.
I think a lot of it was they were asking fans, "What do you want?" You know, and they go around the different areas of the country. I don't think they came out west here. I was trying to when I went to Charlotte, they were actually playing in Savannah at that time, but it's like a 5-hour drive, and Savannah is hot and humid, you know, so we didn't.
Nothing different here, so, I mean.
Yeah, the what?
It's nothing different than here, so I mean.
No, Chris, it's like 10 times as humid as here. Yeah. It is. The southeastern part of the United States is humid. We're a little humid. It's Houston humid is what it is.
Yeah, no, I definitely can't. I can't wait for that interview next week. So
yeah, it's exciting. We should, you know, what we should all do is, you know, kind of watch a few innings of a couple games during the week. Try to come up with some questions. You know,
exactly
I'll do that.
Right.
You know, so we can have a nice interview with him.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So, Chris, what's going on with C2C?
Yeah, revamp Tuesday Night Mania tomorrow. Bunch of great shows, OVW, Morning Tailgate's back.
Yep.
The Savannah Bananas broadcaster coming on next week, and it's gonna be a good week.
Yep. No doubt. I can't wait for next week, of course, Morning Tailgate. But with that being said, guys, thank you again for the fans, everybody watching. Keep sharing, liking all our C2C stuff. And please
Tell your
join us
friends.
next week. Yeah, tell your friends, definitely.
I do.
With that being said, thank you, Greg, Coach D, Crispy Bacon. I am Big B, rooting for Pujols to get 700. Hopefully, we got more to talk to next week.
Absolutely.
All right, you guys have a good week. Check us next week for On Deck. Have a good one.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.